Just from our side, we're slowly getting there as far as continuing to figure out kind of our group and what makes us at our best. And some things we need to work on. We'll continue to identify some of that stuff, but we're growing. And it's a slow process, but the win helped, and we're looking forward to another a tough challenge against the champs.
Thanks for that. All right, we'll start with Dustin. Go ahead, Dustin.
Hey, man.
Hi, Dustin.
A new goalkeeper today, Jonathan Bond. How do you see him fitting into the team, and when do you see him being available going forward?
Well, he's available as of today, and he's a guy that knows our league, and he's a seasoned goalkeeper. So I don't think anybody's surprised that we pick somebody up with Andrew going down. Blake's done a hell of a job so far. But we, look, when Andrew went down, we were always going to bring in another goalkeeper.
And just this Galaxy team, very different than they were last year, coming off a midweek Champions Cup loss. They haven't won yet this season. All those things, does that make it harder for you guys to go in there against a team that's kind of got their backs against the walls?
Well, we have our backs against the wall. I mean, I don't know if you're looking at our season, so don't. I don't feel bad for the LA Galaxy. Anytime you have in the lineup now Paintseal and Peck, it's the best 1-2 punch maybe the league offers, and they're back. And I think if you watch the Tigres game, you can see that this is a damn good team, and they're just good. They'll be just fine. They've got a good group, and I have no doubt that they'll be there in the mix when once they get their pieces back, but they're very dangerous. I thought they played very well in Mexico, which is a tough guy. I thought it was their best performance to date. So we'll be ready for a very good team.
Thanks, man.
All right, we'll go to Ori in the room.
Coach, just to piggyback off that question, you've just come off your win. LA Galaxy still hasn't won a game. How do you continue that road warrior mentality? You picked up some points on the road as well.
Yeah, it doesn't. Their results and what they're about really, their form, the results. It doesn't really affect us. We go about this in the same way. We identify, as best we can who they're going to play, and as I say every week, we're going to identify their strengths and weaknesses and try to give our guys as much information on them as possible, and again, give ourselves a chance. Be tough to play against on the road. That's been a fairly good recipe for 2 of the 3 games. Again, Portland, I thought we were more exposed, and we forgot about some of the little things that gave us success in Columbus and Seattle, and we just got to find that balance. But this is it's a tough place to play. They're a very good team, but don't let their record fool you. When they have these 2 attackers in the lineup, and they're in some ways similar to us, and some changes, and they're tinkering and figuring out kind of the best group right now in this moment before they get reinforcements. But part of that reinforcement was Paintseal coming back in the lineup, and when those 2 are on the field, him and Peck, it's a pretty nasty transition team. They continue to keep the ball in a good way. I think Greg's done a good job of throwing different things at you on from their offensive standpoint to bring overloads and get some of these guys in isolation. So it'll be a very, very difficult game.
And then just any update on Linker's status? Will he be available anytime soon?
Soon. We got a lot of soon coming from a bunch of these guys, but we're again really looking forward to getting some of these guys in here that are with the visas stamped and ready to roll in a game, because it's been a lot of talk about them, and we want to start seeing what this group's going to look like as we go forward.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Herman. Herman, go ahead.
Hey Ben, talking about soon, Saturday will be your 100th match as Houston Dynamo head coach in all competitions. I know you're wired to think about the next game, but just asking you to reflect on, your proudest or your the moment you remember the most in these 100 games as being coach of the Houston Dynamo.
Yeah, I didn't know much about that until Jack Here's told me this over the last 2 days, and that it was 100 games, and that went by really quickly from my end. And this was a new journey that I talked about for me and my family. Was in the Northeast for most of our lives, and this was a big move. And I think if I look back over the 2 years, I think we've made some strides with the club and with the team. And I look to hopefully have another 100 to continue to grow this project that I was excited about when I first came here, and am equally as excited about in this moment. As far as memorable times, certainly the Open Cup, holding a trophy is a very, very difficult thing to do in this business. And it's a bond you have with the players in that time and the staff, and you have that for the rest of your life. And so that was obviously the moment. But again, it took some time away. It's been nice to get back in the game and build some relationships with players and staff, and see a new community. Texas is a great state. It's a wild state, and I'm pleased and humbled to be here.
And my second question is about Griffin Dorsey. We spoke after the game on Saturday how Jack had a great game and he was nominated for Team of the Week, but so was Griffin Dorsey. And you mentioned the team is getting going. Just your thoughts on getting Griffin to have these repeat performances. The Dynamo look more dangerous when Griffin is playing his best.
Yeah, I think it's a really good observation. Griffin's had a good season. He's one of the guys I think you can point to, and you have a good feel for what he's going to bring to the game every week, and the high energy, selflessness, his ability to stretch their back line and hopefully get towards their end line. Still, obviously, always want more production out of our wingers or guys that are into the attack. But he's worked really hard on that, and I think he's been great. Cyber's about relationships as well. We could talk about tactics all you want, and kind of looking from above, kind of 1,000 feet, but there's also relationships out there and putting guys together that are complementary, and sometimes you don't even know that till you try it. But him and Jack have, I think, a good feel for each other, and it's a nice. They're creating a nice relationship. Hopefully, that will get better over time, and both of them will flourish as they grow.
Thank you, Ben. Safe travels and best of luck tomorrow.
All right, Sam, go ahead.
And then,
Sam?
yeah. Congratulations on the milestone.
Thank you.
I like when I listen to your pre-match and post-match conference after each game. I like to pick up certain things. And in the last win against LAFC, you highlighted the positive, which built up to that hard-fought 1-0 win. That the two draws at difficult Lumen Field and Lower.com Field. You also highlighted the difficulties this team has faced, the poor result, the slow start, and all that. And as the manager, you see these players, you talk to them when they win, when they draw, when they lose, you gauge your morale. How would you describe all the experience? How would you describe it? How it has shaped this team, to get that win against LAFC, and how do you think it will factor into how they will approach the game at LA Colors, looking at the results last time in Carson?
That's a lot, Sam. I think you're getting at, again, it's been a rocky start for us, and with the not getting that first win, it does become emotional. And as much as we look towards the future, and it's a long season, it's still important to get that one under your belt. And so I think there was relief after the LAFC game more than joy. It was like, okay, you get that out, and now the Sunday feels a little bit different, after a win. So now you have to be careful, though, because we have so much work to do. And the week leading into now LA Galaxy, we still have to have a real tension, anxiety about how we train, and understanding that we only have 5 points and we have to push. And we are playing the champs. We're playing the champs with their best lineup of potentially the best lineup of the year. And making sure that what we did in Seattle and Columbus and LAFC and the times we were successful, that we're that team rather than some of the teams where we didn't follow game plans, or we got exposed early because we made naive decisions. So there's it's a little bit of everything, but really the focus is just keep moving forward and getting better, and push these guys, and continue to identify what the best version of ourselves is right now. And then every week, Sam, we're going to get new guys back in. Again, we've got a goalkeeper. Hopefully Nelson's coming back. Linger next week should be available. Ortiz is coming back into it. And I talk about now and then this next phase of incorporating some new players and bringing some competition, and finding out who we are within that phase of this season. And then the summer's going to come, and we're going to grab 1 or 2 more players. And this is a long road, but this is the kind of the first phase that's been choppy.
Wish you the best of Saturday.
Thank you.
All right, Jesus, go ahead.
Hey, Ben.
Hi, Jesus.
My question is, hey, with Jonathan now signed, now will he come into and be the starting goalkeeper right away, or will he have to compete with Blake for that spot?
Yeah, everybody's going to compete, and Blake's done a good job. So, I want to win games, and the whoever's playing at their best, or who we think we can get a result with, that'll be the guy we go with. But he's just got here, and he's feeling, he just got here, and so, but he's eligible to play for sure. But it's a lot to ask. But he's a guy that we value for his experience and his skill set to help our team. So we'll see. But he is, as I said, stating the obvious, he's an experienced goalkeeper, a guy that we want him to compete certainly for the starting spot.
We saw that U.S. Soccer was here this week. Watching some of your players, mainly Jack. I'm assuming were they asking about any of the player, or could you maybe share some of the conversations you may have had, if you had any?
No,
with those reps from U.S. Soccer this week.
We had a lovely visit, and I think we had some great conversations about, again, my thoughts on the national team, his thoughts on us, and Jack, and the development plan for him going forward. And I thought it was a really great visit. He was a lovely guy, and so I'm a fan. I'm a fan of U.S. Soccer, and I am ultimately this anything we can do on our end to help them to have success at the World Cup we're happy to do it, and I'm thankful that they visited and have open lines of communication, and it's I think it's a very healthy thing.
And then final question, the MLS met this week, and possibly the talk about changing the playing calendar from May from what it is now to more of what it is across the whole world. You haven't played in an MLS, player, not coach. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, they have to figure out some things of when they want to do it, but I think ultimately it's the right move for a few different reasons, whether it's the playoff format or the transfer situation. And again, but listen, I don't put too much time and energy on it. When it comes, if it comes, we'll adapt, just like all the other adjustments over the last 20-something years of the league figuring its way out and what's best for MLS for the future. And it's an evolving landscape, and they'll make the right decision at the right time.
And then final question on mine. We saw Arthur was actually mic'd up during a practice this week, and we saw you jokingly ask him who's your favorite coach. Now, did you know that he was mic'd up, or were you kind of fishing for a little?
No, I had no idea he was mic'd up. See you guys.
Thank you so much,
Oh, we got one more.
Who else? Diego, what's up? I got a plane to catch.
Hey Ben, how are you?
Good.
Just a quick question about signing players like Jonathan Bond. Signing a goalkeeper is always a little tricky because each goalkeeper has just like any other player, has their different strengths and weaknesses. So I just wanted to hear a little bit of your thoughts on like what some things you guys were looking for in getting that goalkeeper to replace Tarbell after going down.
Well, in this moment in time, you don't. I think we lucked out, and we got it because if you're shopping for a goalkeeper at this time in the season, it's not like you get to hand pick all the time. But I'll say this: if I could hand pick someone, it'd be pretty close to what we got, and very well rounded, good size, good shot stopper, good with his feet, experienced. And I think he's, from what I see already, he's got a good presence and a good voice. And again, I think he's going to do well. He's also understands the league, and I think I trust that he's going to be a very good goalkeeper for this club.
And talking a little bit about the transitional play, you talked about it against LAFC, and you're mentioning now Pencil back in the lineup. There's a lot of threats there. Is there anything that you're going to tell, especially the fullbacks, of how they can build off of the LAFC performance and maybe have a win in LA?
Well, yeah, this isn't. They're very high level wingers. But we're telling our players the same thing we tell our players every week on how we defend and how we deal with transitions. And it's about structure, it's about balance, but it's about active defending. It's about not getting too caught up in the attack and making sure we understand who their key players are and how quickly it can happen, where they go 60, 70 yards down the field and you're in trouble. We didn't do a good job of it in Portland, and we got exposed. We did a good job against LAFC and against Bouanga and Martinez. So hopefully we have that type of focus and respect for the transition element to LA Galaxy, because again I would say it's probably the best 1-2 punch winger wise in the league.